How's it going, everyone? And you know what? In a world where I am one of the most pessimistic people when it comes to video games all the time, and some of you guys always tell me I need to relax and I need to, have some optimism. However, sometimes, I cover some of the ongoings in the gaming world and some of the decision making. I'm like, wow, way to destroy your goodwill with your audience. However, one studio that has had a bit of a roller coaster of 2024 has been Arrowhead, launching Helldivers 2 with immense acclaim. Then all of a sudden, they tried to bake in PSN account linking, or Sony tried to bake in PSN account linking, got a lot of heat for that. They went back on that, didn't go through with it, got a lot of goodwill for course correcting. Then there were some changes to the game, and the game was going in a direction that people weren't excited about, and then they had a 60-day plan, revitalized the game, did a lot of the things the consumers wanted, and it ended up winning Best Ongoing Game of the Year. Great stuff. Recently, they dropped the first collaboration with a major IP for Helldivers 2 with Killzone 2, and there was a lot of pushback with that. Once again, it was an element of, hey, this content is way too expensive. It's, just armor sets and things of that nature. I would argue that collab items are always gonna be sold at a premium, but I also agree that there could have been a reasonable, adjustment as far as that's concerned. Well, they didn't have to go ahead and do all that. Arrowhead CEO noted, in the spirit of the holidays and based on your feedback, we have decided to give away the next half of the Killzone and Helldivers 2 collab away for free for everyone. Happy holidays from Arrowhead Game Studios and our friends at Gorilla. Gigantic W. I don't even know if they needed to do all this where they needed to give the second half of it for free. Now, the first half, I understand not adjusting the price point because a lot of people probably bought it, and, you could refund them and figure that out, but just offering the second half for free would probably satisfy people that bought the first half. They're like, hey, I'm getting the second half for free. I don't know, let me know in the comments if you did buy it, but, man, this is what I love about Arrowhead. Again, they've had a roller coaster of a year, and guys, you can't be like me, and like, honestly, I'm sometimes like this, I'm sometimes guilty of this, but mess-ups happen. Mess-ups do happen. Sometimes you get something wrong. Sometimes things happen that you didn't expect and you thought you were pricing something accordingly, or you did something that wasn't going to be a big deal. Maybe they viewed PSN account linking as not a big deal. Maybe they viewed the Killzone price point as not a big deal. Whatever. Sometimes you miscalculate, sometimes you misassess the situation, and I am not here to hold them to that forever, because every time that something like this has happened, you know what's happened? Arrowhead has listened to the consumer. Arrowhead has listened to their player base. If there's one company that has their finger on the pulse and is clearly on social media and listening to their audience, it is Arrowhead. And look at them versus a big conglomerate like Ubisoft. And I know it's not fair to compare one isolated studio like Arrowhead versus the entirety of Ubisoft, but how long have been people complaining about aspects of Ubisoft games? And guess what? They burned and destroyed that goodwill. All for what? Because you can, in the short term, probably get some money out of your more hardcore fans, but overall, you are obliterating, you are destroying that goodwill that you have established with your audience. I would argue that Sony is doing some of that right now, but let's not upset those people right now. But I would argue there's a lot of publishers that take their consumer base for granted, and this isn't something that you notice overnight in terms of nuking your goodwill. It's not an overnight thing, especially with a Ubisoft, for example, where they have so many historic IPs, but little by little, they have obliterated their goodwill, and it is very hard to get back goodwill when you've done a Ubisoft and you've destroyed it for so long. Little by little, they've been destroying it for so long. In the case of Arrowhead, I think because they are so quick to answer, they are so quick to come back and be like, hey, this is what they're doing, and they're being fully transparent about it. At the end of 2024, I feel like their goodwill has just exponentially increased than the beginning of 2024, because they went through the pitfalls, they did some F-ups, but if you do some F-ups and you listen, I got no problem with that. They course corrected, and so many times, like, how long have we been complaining about aspects of Ubisoft games? How long have people been calling Ubisoft games Ubislop or whatever? And they just went through it until they got to a point where games like Star Wars Outlaws came out and they weren't commercially crushing it. Assassin's Creed Shadows has a divisive reception and they delay that, and now they are in that period of trying to rebuild that goodwill. Best case scenario is if you never destroy that goodwill in the first place. I mean, Capcom has earned a lot of goodwill over the last few years. I know Capcom does some things that, as far as like PC gaming, DRMs, things like that, people aren't crazy about. But as far as their game output goes, man, they're crushing it. It's possible to restore goodwill. I'm not saying it's this thing that once it's gone forever. But in the case of Ubisoft, it's gonna take a while to restore that goodwill. It's not just gonna be Assassin's Creed Shadows is a decent game and suddenly all of their goodwill is restored. I think AC Shadows being a good game will certainly help, but in the case of Arrowhead, because they've been so quickly reactive to fan feedback, I just feel like, man, if there's one deserved award that came out of the Game Awards, it is Best Ongoing Game, because ongoing means that it's a cycle, it's pitfalls. What is life? It's ups and downs, and you go through them. However, sometimes studios and developers and publishers, they'll be at a down period, they'll get negative reception, and then they'll push back at the gamer. It's the gamer's fault. And sometimes maybe we make outrageous claims, maybe, asking this to be given away for free, and even Killzone being at a premium price point. But regardless of all of that, it is emblematic of the entire year of 2024 for Arrowhead Game Studios, as this is a game. Remember, back in 2023, Sony wasn't pushing this game that hard. What got the opening slot of Summer Showcase for Sony and PlayStation in 2023? They gave it to Fair Game. Helldivers 2 got a gameplay trailer after, but they gave the opening slot to Fair Game because they view internally Fair Game as the big title. They view Concord as the big title. Did Helldivers 2 pop off because Sony had the promotional muscle behind it? No, the game came out and the audience really propped up this game. The audience talked about this game a lot, and suddenly it was a case of, hey, go check out Helldivers 2, and everybody started talking about it regardless of Sony's promotion. And guess what? I think Arrowhead actually understands that the player base is the one that really propped up this game, us talking about it, and now they're listening to that player base and they are not taking it for granted. I know this should be something that maybe should be common sense, and I don't even think this level of, hey, giving away the content for free should be entirely necessary, but whatever, it built so much goodwill with the audience. I cannot reiterate that, and goodwill is not a quantifiable currency that you could just be like, oh, I have X amount of goodwill, I can do all of these F-ups and I'll lose this amount of goodwill. It's just something that is unquantifiable, but it's so important. Arrowhead isn't the only one. Larian has that. Grinding Gear Games has that. There's a lot of studios that have. Shift Up has that. I would say Game Science has that to an extent. There's a lot of studios that do have that goodwill established, but while 2024 has been a year of, you saw Ubisoft, you see Concord and things of that nature. Sony, I think, destroyed a lot of their goodwill this year, and I don't think that's even questionable. But while Helldivers 2 is a PlayStation published game, I think Helldivers 2 established a level of goodwill that a lot of other games, especially ongoing titles, can take a look at that and study that. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.